So we've got a good day planned for you. A lot of information jam-packed in the presentation today. Luis Hernandez Jr., Avid's chairman and CEO, is going to come up in a moment. He'll be first, and he's going to do some context setting about what we're seeing in the industry and how that applies to what we're doing here at Avid and behind all the innovations. He'll give you a bit of a high-level preview of what we're doing. And then Dana Ruzica, who is our Chief Product Officer, he will come up and go through the detail of the announcements that we have here for at least a few of the big ones. He won't go over every detail, but a lot of the big ones for you here after that. And then we will have a Q&A. So a lot of the leadership team is here in the room, either in the front row or out back. So a lot of us are here for any kind of questions you may have at the end. So, and we'll make ourselves available as long as you'd like, either in this forum or privately if you need us. So, without further ado, I want to thank you again for spending your time with us this morning, and I will invite up Luis Hernandez Jr., our chairman and CEO. Luis, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and we've got some great announcements this morning. I'm really excited about being here, and we've been working very hard since NAB to have some pretty unique and exciting announcements that we're going to be going over here this morning. First of all, I think I want to add a little bit of context first. I think everybody knows about all the changes that are going on in our industry today. It's been pretty dramatic and pretty fundamental. There's been a major study done that didn't surprise me that showed that we were one of the most disrupted, one of the most volatile industries of all industries going through transition. And this was in 2015, and given the digitization of the connection between the creator and the consumer, didn't surprise me. Well, just this last year, it turns out we are number one, the most volatile, the most disrupted industry in the planet. And I think it's reflected on the changes and transition going on within the industry, both economically and to the business model and the way this industry is working. So you are in the center of the vortex. How does that feel? Feel pretty good? No? It frightens a lot of people. It's exciting and exhilarating to others. Either way, there's no denying there's a ton of changes going on in our industry. And it doesn't take long for you to look at every day, it seems like kind of earth-shattering, foundation-setting developments. From Netflix's foray to outspending most of the major media companies on content creation and consumed content and purchased content, to Disney's recent announcement they're not going to be on Netflix, and Sinclair trying to consolidate the entire broadcasting industry, it seems like, in the US, both in cable now and who knows what's next. There are, seems like, every day. And of course, the Apple announcement recently, the hirings, the billion-dollar war chest. It's clear things are changing, and they're changing rapidly. And it seems like one of my favorite shows, I don't know if it's one of your Game of Thrones, where everybody's vying for position and seeing how they're going to stake their claim to the future of this industry, that overall we feel is still healthy and growing, but it's changing very dramatically. And depending on where you are, there's going to be winners and losers. And given the digitization, there's new forms of risk that are emerging that the industry is having to deal with and grapple with as well. You guys know all about the cybersecurity concerns, the breaches, the major issues that are plaguing our industry and have completely changed the landscape about how you manage these organizations. These tectonic shifts that have been occurring are just wreaking havoc on everything from the workflow to the vendors here at this hall, to the operations, to the economics, and really shake the foundation of the very core of this industry and how it's going to navigate forward, both for large media organizations and individually. And if you look at some of the trends just on how people are consuming, it's not a surprise. I mean, the proliferation, just the cost and complexity of reaching your consumer and the competition that it has created is forever changing the way this industry operates. It's not a surprise that mobile viewing is up 26% in just the last couple of years. At $200 million and billions of dollars are being spent on the advertising to these folks, both in internet and mobile. It's one of the fastest growing, as you know, areas in our sector. If you combine that with subscription VOD and then some of the declines that are pretty dramatic in traditional TV viewing that you guys know, pay TV revenues, in TV ad sales. I'm trying to find where I should point this clicker. Is it back here? I'm going to do one of these from my basketball playing days. And just as fast as there's some significant increases, there's all significant changes going on the negative side. So major adjustments happening, not only in those headlines that we talked about, but in the way the business operates. And so if you're a leader of a major media organization today, it's a complicated world. And it's tied to some of these massive trends that we've been talking about and that you guys have seen. Viewership is up significantly, but it doesn't match the amount of content choices. 4 to 10 times per person the increase in choice over the last 10 years. The good news is if you're in the content creation business, you're very busy. The bad news is competition for viewership and listeningship is as tough and as difficult as ever. Probably more complicated, as we alluded to earlier, the fact that there's more formats, devices, channels. The good news is you can reach more people all around the world. The bad news, cost, complexity, and the unit economics of reaching those people is either unknown or worse than the heritage model. So it's a complicated transition we're going into, and you're competing with folks that don't have the same economic incentive because of where they are in their own development cycle. So they often get to attract new viewers. They don't have the requirement of attracting them profitably. So if you're moving from a heritage model, you also want to participate digitally, but you have the constraint of moving to those new areas in a profitable way against somebody who doesn't have that constraint. We talked about the increase in viewership, but it doesn't match the increase in choice. And overall, budgets are constrained. The good news is overall profits are holding relatively stable, but who's making money and how you make money is changing pretty rapidly. And it has evolved into these kind of major trends that we're seeing and what we want to respond to. So what it means is you have this increased pressure for this immersive, engaging content so you can rise above the fray with all this noise. You have to meet, that content has to be available for more channels, more devices at a lower cost. And of course, everything, not just this, has to be done cheaper, more efficiently. And therein lies the base challenge for the industry. And when you find a winner, you have to make as much money as possible, optimizing the value of that asset. So these are some of the challenges that are really driving this change in digitization. And when you look for help, it's not clear what path to go down. You have all these connected partners and vendors, disconnected partners and vendors with proprietary technology, proprietary tools that often focus on their one step in the chain. But in a digital world, this workflow should compress and become more efficient. And the economic reality forces this to be the case. And these are the challenges that we find our clients facing. So steps that seemed right at the time in today's environment seem a huge hurdle to just moving forward and solving these business problems. And it leaves many of our clients and many of them in the industry trying to cobble together these disconnected pieces, incurring costs and complexity at a time when they need to be agile, efficient, and flexible. And it's really with this in mind that Avid had to reimagine how it was going to be moved forward. It imagined a more open, a more flexible, a more extensible, a more agile environment that large enterprises and individuals can participate in a global ecosystem. And this we feel pretty strongly about, so much so we wrote a book about it called The Storyteller's Dilemma. I know all of you have your dog-eared copy next to your bed at night. Is that true? Most of you? Yes, several highlighted pages. You've read it to your children at night. I know, I do the same thing. I don't know why they don't like when I read it to them at night, but I do anyways. And it talks about a lot of these changes and the economics behind each of the segments. More importantly, a path forward. For Avid, it realized it had to do something bold. And you guys know you've been following us. Maybe you read about our transformation, a white paper we wrote 4 years ago. And you know the interesting thing about that white paper? It said that we would finish in Q2 of 2017. And guess what? That was just last quarter. We knew we had to make some pretty dramatic changes, not only to our organization, our people, our products, the way we're organized, the kind of technology we use. We also realized we wanted to be more deeply engaged with our community, with the Avid Customer Association, so that we can have a clearer voice and work more directly in how we work together. We also knew we wanted to create this single, integrated, open, and extensible platform where we can put our apps and anybody's apps that can work in a cohesive way more efficiently. And we spent $500 million doing it. We had over 40 new product categories, 37 new products. We've won about every industry award for new technology. And 25% of our entire code base we've written in the last 4 years. This has not been a minor change. It has been a dramatic set of changes that Avid set out to do. And I'm really excited that we're completed with that phase. Now, where'd we end up? we reimagine a totally different way to operate a media organization or to participate in the media industry. You guys remember it initially as Avid Everywhere, no doubt. You probably read about it. It's now Avid Media Central is the actual product suite, and it's an integrated way to run the entire organization. Avid Media Central starts with a bunch of microservices and services for the media industry. Remember, these are not applications. This is the underlying operating system to participate in the ecosystem. These services are available to Avid's products and anybody else's. And we have many people who have taken advantage of these microservices to connect their applications to this platform. Of course, you have one common user experience. If you've ever been in a major media company before and you went to the newsroom or you went to the post department or long form or any other department, the sports group, you're going to see totally different screens at every part of that media organization. In this environment, there's one single integrated experience for all users, and then the applications are different depending on what you're doing. A much simpler, much more integrated. Think about the training time and the efficiency in the integration. And of course, this is access anytime, anywhere, via any operating system, any device, any network. On top of that, you have your applications, your modules, your services, whatever the tools that you need to do your job better, including creative applications and integrated solutions. And then, of course, you have the marketplace, one of the most popular areas that most of the enterprise users aren't as focused on. But we have some pretty cool areas like the artist community, almost 30,000 individuals from editors to mixers to creative professionals integrated onto this site, being able to meet and collaborate using the most sought-after tools in the world to create the most compelling assets. This is called the artist community. And of course, you have the marketplace component where we have over 2,000 certified partners on this platform, third-party products that can take advantage of those microservices and those services so that you as a client, if you were a client, you can have one integrated service, whether or not it was Avid's products or somebody else's products. And of course, this all sits on one integrated platform and gives you a deployment choice between on-premise, private cloud, or public cloud, so that you have the flexibility to deploy this in a way that makes sense for you. And that's where we have ended up after 4 years of work. 44 new products later, 37 new patents, 25% of our entire code base for a 30-year-old company. It has been dramatic, and it's really exciting. But I'll tell you what's really exciting is the fact that the industry is joining us. Over 600 major enterprise agreements with some of the largest, most recognized and sophisticated media organizations of the world. NBC Universal, Sinclair I mentioned, the largest and one of the most ambitious station groups in the United States, Al Jazeera, one of the most creative global newsrooms around the world, ITV, Canal Plus, representing over 50,000 users have adopted this approach to running a media organization, a totally different way to operate, a more integrated, a more efficient way. And they're part of a larger ecosystem that Avid has always enjoyed, a larger community with millions of users on Media Central creative tools, 9 of the top 10 international news organizations, 4 of the 5 largest station groups. And what about all the new streaming services? Almost 90% of all the content that you see from most of the major services uses the Avid tools. It's quite a community. And that's why we wanted to harness the power of this community through the Avid Customer Association. You guys remember when we first announced this? A lot of people were skeptical that we might be able to cobble together a few hundred people. Well, we're 20,000 members strong. It's an incredible organization and demonstrates the engagement and the hunger our clients had to having a voice in what we do going forward. It's doubled in the last year. In fact, here in Europe, it's up about 60%. It's been a pretty dramatic experience and a pretty dramatic community. Remember, this is run for and by our community. The executive board of directors are basically comprised of the largest media companies in the world, but we have representation from creative professionals to the largest media companies to everybody in between. And one of the most exciting developments that you may have read about is the inaugural ACA vote. Now think about it. You now have a choice as a client to have a direct impact on the R&D budgets of one of the largest media technology companies in the world, and that's exactly what we did. This vote was administered not by Avid. It was done by the Avid Customer Association with our help. where they got to express directly to us the things they wanted in a very transparent way. And the results of this vote were made available to the entire community, and we actually showed them how we were incorporating it into our product suite. Over thousands and thousands of individuals from 100 different countries and over 4,000 enterprises voted. Not only is it very valuable information to us, it's become very valuable information to the entire industry. So what did they say in this vote? Well, they, not surprisingly, focused on 4 key areas that you're probably hearing a lot about: IP, workflows, UHD4 and 8K, graphics enhancements, and cloud. So let me tell you about each of the results of the highest priorities coming from our inaugural vote from the ACA. What we heard was that IP must be implemented throughout the entire ecosystem. 50% are considering hybrid IP connectivity, and 27% are already considering IP-only workflows, where the entire workflow will be IP-based. So this is driven for efficiency and utilization benefits. Now, 4K and 8K also scored extremely high, one of the highest priorities on our voting. Already 65% expect to implement 4K throughout their entire network. It's a big area that must be met. We heard about increasingly sophisticated graphics that will drive more efficient audience engagement and revenues as a very high priority, and 60% see virtual reality and augmented reality as the strategic growth components for them. Finally, cloud technology, not a surprise, but we wanted to hear specifically what were they going to be doing in the next 12 months that they wanted us to address. We heard that over 70% of our clients, the members, that 20,000 member organization, said that they intend on launching cloud-based services, 70% in the near future. So it's been pretty dramatic. So what are you going to hear this morning here at IBC? Well, I'm very excited to report that it'll be addressing most of those issues. First, we'll be introducing new cloud innovations. You heard about our relationship with Microsoft. We're very excited to talk about the developments that have happened since then. You'll be hearing about extending the Media Central platform with applications, services, and modules, making everything on that suite better. You're going to hear about accelerated 4K production across the entire workflow. You're going to hear about incredible unified graphics portfolio that we'll be announcing here this morning. And finally, new workflows for news, for sports, and for post that I think will really excite you. You'll be hearing about that just in a second. And I'll tell you, before I hand it over to our Chief Product Officer, what really makes it exciting for me isn't just that we have completed this bold, massive transformation. It's not just that clients are adopting and joining what we've done. It's not just the Avid Customer Association has demonstrated the community wants to help us move this forward with 20,000 members, doubling in the last year, accelerating and then participating in vote. It's not just that the things they voted on, we're going to be able to demonstrate today and at the next NAB. The most important thing is that this application, this suite that we have created, spending $500 million, is flexible, open, and agile enough to allow us to participate, to move forward. That's the most exciting thing to me. So without further ado, let me introduce our Chief Product Officer, Dana Ruzicka, to come and go over the detailed announcements this morning. Just come join us, Dana. Let's hear it for Dana.
All right.
Let's get up for this.
Thanks, Louis.
Sure, Dana.
So very excited to be here with you now. I was trying to count the number of IBCs with Avid. I think this is my 20th IBC with Avid, so that's a lot of them. And I have to tell you, there's never been a more exciting time to be in this industry. And I don't think we've ever had as many product announcements and releases as we do this year. So let's jump right in and go through the details here. So you heard Louis talk about the ACA and the importance of cloud. And when you really sort of dive into the data that we have there, it's, the move to cloud is imminent for most all of our customers in the industry as a whole, but it's not a straight lift and shift. They don't want to move everything they have all over. It's really moving the workflows and the services that need on their time frame, starting their journey based on their business needs. And so, earlier this year, we rolled out our vision for bringing Avid into the cloud. So taking the Media Central platform, our applications, our media management modules, and our services, and hosting them into the cloud. And as a part of that, we also announced a comprehensive partnership with Microsoft. And the idea here is they're our preferred cloud vendor, and it really is the leader in media technology, Avid, partnered up with the leader in cloud technology, Microsoft, working with our customers to help them navigate their journey to the cloud. And I have to tell you, we've been hard at work. Just in the last 5 months, there's so many innovations that we've been working on. Let me jump in products that we're rolling out here at IBC. So first off, Media Composer. We have 2 cloud announcements we're making here. So Media Composer Cloud VM and Media Composer Cloud Remote. So let me walk you through each of these. So Cloud VM, what is that? That's basically Media Composer running in a virtualized environment. It could be in a data center or up in Azure. And basically, any user from a lightweight laptop, even a tablet or workstation can access that, but the application and all the media is in the cloud. And then the flip side of that is Media Composer Cloud Remote. So in this case, you can actually work with the application installed on your laptop or your desktop, and all the media is streamed through the cloud to the sort of the mothership. So you could be a journalist working out in the field and tying back to the media that's in the newsroom, or you could be a post-production professional working out in the field somewhere and tying back to the post-production facility. So 2 different sort of angles into bringing cloud technology to Media Composer. We're also rolling out the Media Central Cloud UX, and you heard Louis talk about this a little, and I'm going to cover this in more detail in a few slides. But just think of it as your cloud-enabled window into the platform, and it's really exciting. We have a set of applications that we have here, as well as panels for Media Composer. So I'll walk through that in a few slides. Now, on the Microsoft side, we already have Azure services spinning up, so the number of announcements here. So Sibelius, so our notation software. On Azure, we can now do cloud sharing, so we can take, for a composer, basically composing a score, can share their scores out through the cloud and have other people actually manipulate them, listen to them, experience them through the cloud. It's an amazing collaborative and sharing workflow. Media Central Archive and Media Central Newsroom. So here's an example of where we're taking a traditional archive workflow or a traditional newsroom workflow and basically hosting that up in the public cloud. So think of it, you could have your on-prem deployment today with your Avid products, and then if you want to actually archive, you could actually set up a cloud archive in Azure and basically move all your media up there for archiving. Or for newsroom, running your iNews, your newsroom control system, and your rundown and script management can all be done through the cloud, tied back to your on-prem installation. So it's really, really interesting and flexible, and this is stuff that we're actually rolling out at the show. And then Avid Cloud Collaboration for Pro Tools, we rolled that out 24 months ago or so, and now that's running on Azure as well. So a whole suite of different cloud-enabled and Azure-certified products that we're rolling out here, and we're just getting started here. We have so much more sort of cooking back in the lab, and you're going to see more of this innovation rolling out as we move forward. Last thing is, if you get down to the booth, we're also showing a tech demonstration of Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. And this is an example of, as we bring the platform into the cloud, it doesn't just have to be an Avid service. We now have access to all of Microsoft's cloud services where they make sense for media. So we're showing how we can tie the cognitive and machine learning that Microsoft brings to the table into an Avid workflow. So it's really, really, really cool. So moving forward, the Media Central platform. So that really is the core that's allowing us to stand all of us up and bring it into the cloud. And it's been a major game changer for us. And we're taking that to a whole new level with the Media Central production suite. So think of this as a set of configurable apps, modules, and services that are building on our heritage with Interplay, production, AM, and iNews, but moving them forward, the next generation of all that, completely integrated into the platform and standing it up into the cloud. So very, very exciting, sort of comprehensive move forward for us in our product suite. Now, I'm going to drill down and start going through some of the details here. It starts with that Media Central Cloud UX. So again, this is your cloud-enabled window into the platform. So it's a common user interface for anybody who works within the, in the organization. It runs on basically pretty much any OS and any device. You can literally run this off a phone or a tablet or a workstation. And it gives you, again, a common view into all of your media. So what we're rolling out at the show here is a broad range of role-based applications. So it's designed to be a common look and feel and fluid interactivity, but the tools are tailored for what it is that you do within the workflow. So you have search. If you're looking for media, we have powerful search capabilities with the UI that's lined up around that. If you need to edit, there's an editing module, logging, publishing, and just many, many more applications. But it's in a common framework, but the tools are catered towards what you do. And the best part is it delivers a unified view into all of the media on the platform wherever it's stored. And this is a really big deal, whether it's an Avid product or solution connected to the platform, or an alliance, a certified alliance partner. To the user in Media Central UX, all the media is there in one virtual pool. You don't have to know where it is, you don't have to go look for it, it's all right there in your user interface. So very, very exciting here, and I encourage you to come take a look at this at our booth. All right, so if we zoom out a little bit, so the Media Central Cloud UX is on top. We look now underneath that, we have a set of applications, modules, and services. And again, it's a full suite where you can configure these to meet whatever workflow need you have at hand. So let me drill into these a little bit. So starting on the top, the applications, we just went through that: search, browse, edit, log, publish, and there's a very, very long list of these, and there will be more modules and applications coming out over time, depending on what the workflow need is. If you go to the second row down, the actual Media Central modules, this is where we're taking what we've done with Interplay and iNews and bringing it into the next generation. So it starts with, on the left, a very simple editorial management module. So think of this as your shared bins workflow in a media composer and managing metadata in a basic editorial workflow. Then you step up into the production module. Now we get up into higher level production workflow orchestration, newsroom management, so that's where you do your rundown and your script-based story editing, asset management for global media asset management, and graphics management. So these are all modules that you can decide what you want to light up and connect and use in your workflow. Then I think one of the most exciting things is that bottom row, which are the Media Central services. So we're going to have a wide array of media services. And as we bring this into cloud, you can do some pretty amazing things. So audience engagement, doing analytics and research on social feeds coming in. We talked a little bit before about the cognitive services, taking things like something that we've rolled out recently, our phonetic search. So we can basically search for media based on the spoken word through phonetics. We can marry that to, let's say, facial recognition that Microsoft does and now sort of mash up a whole new service on the platform that was never before available. Content transformation, so all the things that you would normally think of there, transcoding, media prep for delivery, distribution, and all of it can be orchestrated in workflow to whatever the customer needs. So really a full suite, configurable apps, modules, services, and connectors, basically that you can configure to whatever your needs are. So if we zoom out even more, you have the Media Central applications and modules and services on the left. You can also combine these with any of the creative tools, so Media Composer and Pro Tools, our integrated solutions, the full graphics suite of products, servers, and storage. And then Louis mentioned before that marketplace. You know, we have over 600 alliance partners within our ecosystem with over 2,000 partner products. And many of these are already certified to run in this environment. So you can tie them into your workflow as well. It's that flexible. And then, because it all runs on the platform, we have something called the infrastructure management layer that allows you to deploy in traditional on-prem, so traditional IT on-prem, private cloud, data center, or up in the public cloud. And the beauty of this is you actually don't have to pick one or the other, one of the three. You can actually do a hybrid and pick any combination of deployment. And this is the key, and one of the differentiators that we're taking in our strategy here is we believe for our customers in the industry as a whole, this is a journey to the cloud. And customers are going to want to run some things on-prem and move different services into the data center and cloud as they need to, and we're providing that flexibility. You choose what you want to deploy where. Now, the last thought on the next-gen media production suite is, if you look sort of in Avid's history, we build very big systems, and the stats that we gave in terms of the enterprise accounts that were deployed, and it's pretty compelling. But we also wanted to make this technology available to more people. So the new Media Central Production Suite scales from very small teams. We'll have small, very scaled-down offerings for a team of just 3 or 4 people, and you can scale that all the way up to the largest global media organizations for news, for sports, for post-production. It's available, basically, these tools to everybody. So very exciting. That's the Media Central Production Suite, really the next gen of where we're going with media management. Okay, so moving forward, you also heard Louis talk about, with the ACA vote and the feedback we've gotten from our users and really representative of the industry as a whole, that UHD and 4K is real, the need is now. We know we already edit in 4K. We now know UHD delivery is really more prevalent and a much bigger need. And the move to IP, the feedback we've gotten in our surveying and our vote is that it's very necessary, but it needs to be integrated at a platform level. It can't just be a point solution. So we're very excited to be rolling out our fast serve video server family. This is our next generation video servers. And what's really exciting about it for us is it completes our end-to-end 4K workflow. So let me walk you through the products. So there's 3 flavors: fast serve ingest, so higher channel count, direct Nexus integration. This thing's a monster, very powerful, high performance. We have fast serve live edit, which actually gives you the ability to do fast turnaround editing while you're ingesting and logging, all in real time in live event scenarios. And then fast serve playout, which is basically file-based playback, where we've done a lot of work to minimize transcoding and wrapping files so that it's all very streamlined in the workflow. And very configurable, basically to plug in into any point of the workflow. And if you take a step back and look at what our focus at Avid has been, is really delivering full end-to-end platform-oriented workflows. So we've done a lot of work over the last couple of years to bring our storage to be able to do 4K and beyond, media asset management, editing, and graphics. And with the new fast serve line, we've now really completed that. We've added ingest and playout with live edit, where now all of the steps within the workflow are now 4K enabled. Our mission was really to create the most integrated sort of graphics solutions for an Avid workflow and our customers. And we're very, very excited to be unifying all of the Avid graphics products under one brand now, Maestro. So now what we're looking at is a very streamlined product family that is deeply integrated into the platform and can easily extend from any of the workflow modules that I just talked about. Starting with Maestro Designer for the actual design, Maestro Virtual Set, TD Control, Maestro TD Control for video wall control, augmented reality, interactive, news, branding, channel in the box, telestration. So many different applications for the, the end-to-end graphics workflow with deep integration into the platform. And a lot of innovations happening here as well. So if you look at some of the new announcements we're making at IBC, we're rolling out Maestro Sports. So within that same platform orientation, a very specific all-in-one broadcast graphics and video control system for live sports. So taking live data feeds and tracking graphics to the action that's happening in venue. Very, very exciting and really, really interesting product. Also with our Maestro Virtual Set, we're rolling out the next generation of infrared camera tracking. So a whole new camera tracking system there that we're showing down in the booth. Really, really, I think the tech is very cool there. And you're going to see lots more happening on the graphics area. And there's so much more to talk about here. I'm going to round up a few of the other announcements, but there's even more than what I have in the slide here. So we're going to really encourage you to take a close look at your press packages, and we can walk you through that. But Media Central for news, sports, and post. So it's a really extensible and configurable line. One of the things we're going to be doing is rolling out bundle packages specifically geared for those different workflow scenarios. And I think one of the most exciting things is for post-production in particular, you're going to have bundles starting at under 20K US. And the idea there is that's Media Central, the apps, the modules, and the services we talked about, but that's also Nexus Pro storage and Media Composer editing. So a full editorial and post-production workflow that we're going to be able to deploy for a very, very low starting at price point. Also, new Avid Artist DNX IV. So for Media Composer, we haven't forgotten that either. Lots of innovation happening here. So portable desktop I/O, SD, HD, 2K, 4K, UHD, perfect for the Media Composer editor on the go, and it fits right into this high-res 4K workflow. And then just Media Composer momentum in general, it's amazing. We launched Media Composer first earlier this year, and we've had over 60,000 downloads of the product in the first weeks of its availability. So huge feedback and overwhelmingly positive response to that, and growing every day. And new features and enhancements happening all the time. One of the things that we're showing down on the booth is VR and 360 editing using Boris's Mocha VR plugin, and it's very, very cool how we can extend the workflow into new areas here and tie the whole end-to-end workflow together. So I'd encourage you to come down and check that out. And there's even more here that I don't have here again, so I would suggest take a look at your press packages. We're here to talk to you, and we can walk you through it. So with that, what I'd like to do is hand it back over to Jim, who I think is going to tee up a Q&A session.
That's right.
So thank you very much.